Republican Leader.
Mr. President, I am very pleased to report that as of yesterday, the Senate has confirmed a total of 314 of President Trump's civilian nominees. And earlier this week, I filed on another nominations package, which, when passed, will bring our total confirmations to more than 400. That far outstrips total confirmations by this point in President Biden's term and in President Trump's first term as well. And it's particularly notable that we've managed to beat those first-term numbers when you consider the obstacles the Democrats have put up. I've talked more than once here on the floor about Democrats' unprecedented obstruction of the President's nominees this year. And I really do mean unprecedented. For decades upon decades, the Senate has expedited the consideration of large numbers of presidential nominees, confirming them by unanimous consent or voice vote. President George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton, for example, each had 98% of their civilian nominees confirmed by unanimous consent or voice vote in the first term of their presidencies. 98%. George W. Bush and Barack Obama each had 90%. Now, it's true that Democrats substantially eroded this tradition of bipartisanship during President Trump's first term. All of a sudden, positions that had traditionally gone by unanimous consent or voice vote were now requiring roll call votes. But even so, both President Biden and President Trump in his first term had more than half of their nominees confirmed by voice vote. And then there was this year. This year, not one single presidential nominee has been confirmed by unanimous consent or voice vote. Not one. Democrats have dragged out the process on every single one of the president's nominations. The Democrat leader tried to justify Democrats' historic blockade by claiming that the president's nominees have been, quote, historically bad. The only problem with that, Mr. President, is the Democrats have supported a number of the president's nominees in committee and have even voted for some of them on the Senate floor. So either members of the Democrat Party are supporting historically bad nominees or something else is going on here. And I think we know what that is, Mr. President. That something else that's going on here looks a lot like petty partisanship. Maybe you want to call it Trump derangement syndrome. Democrats and their base still can't deal with the fact that President Trump won last November. And so they have held up every single one of his nominations in revenge. But Republicans have not been daunted. We've just continued plowing ahead on nominations, helping us rack up a historic number of votes this year in the process. And in September, we took steps to restore Senate precedent and codify in Senate rules what was once understood to be standard practice. And that is the Senate's acting expeditiously on largely non-controversial presidential nominees to allow a president to get his team in place. Now both Democrat and Republican presidents will be protected from some of the partisan excesses that we've seen from Democrats this year. 2025 has been a long road, Mr. President, but I'm very proud to be able to say that at the end of it, that we are well on our way to confirming more than 400 of the president's civilian nominees, and that we have virtually cleared the nominations backlog by the end of his first year. In contrast to the situation at this point in President Trump's first term and President Biden's. And when the Senate returns in January, I look forward to continuing to confirm additional members of the President's team so that he can continue to do the job to which he was elected by the American people. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I suggest the absence of quorum.
Clerk, call the roll.